Well, thank you for coming back on the red carpet, Mr. Billy.
Well, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
Very welcome. This I'm gonna dig into because I noticed you've been doing a lot of projects. So let's talk about your most recent project that you've been doing.
Okay. My most recent is a film that I am co-producing and also starring in, and it's called Embrace. Embrace is about a veteran with PTSD and some other serious mental health issues related to his time in service. And he has a estranged teenage daughter who comes to live with him unexpectedly. And so he has to also navigate that. And yeah, it's a very mental health focused film. It serves to bring awareness to mental health issues, but also to guide people in a direction of seeking
Hmm.
help
Hmm.
for those issues, and also help people realize that there is help for those issues. And so it's a story of hope. It's very there's some dark places and there's some dark subject matter, but it's ultimately a story about coming through those challenging times.
Well, that's good that you're making a film about mental health, and
Thank you.
it's very important. Everybody needs to talk about mental health, um, and that's a very important topic because we're not talking enough about it. So
Right.
it's very important that we're talking about it. I want to go into. Um, I know I haven't asked you this before, but what was your most pivot moment in your life?
Oh, in my life? Oh, wow. That's a big question. Yeah. The most pivoting moment in my life. Probably probably when my when my daughter was born, I would say. I mean, my son's probably not going to watch this, but but, but by the time I had my second child, I had already had a child. So that was, that's what I mean by this. It has nothing to, it was just that, yeah. So having that first child was extremely life altering in
Hmm.
so many different ways, whether it be perception of life and the world or perception of myself as what my responsibilities were as a human. All of that changed when she was born. So I think that probably is the biggest life altering moment.
Okay. Wow. What was the best advice you ever heard or received?
Talk less and listen more. I don't always abide by it, but it's definitely it's almost always the wisest way to go, I would say,
Hmm.
in whatever situation. So whether it's a personal matters or even professional matters. I work on a lot of different projects, and so it's sometimes it's just best to sit back and listen to what everyone has to say and or what's being said to you. I think a lot of times we want to interject with our opinions and our thoughts before we've even really listened to the other side. So I think that helps tremendously in a professional
Okay.
situation when we can stop for a moment and really
Hmm.
just listen to what the other. It doesn't necessarily mean you always agree or that's even going to be the route you take, but it does open up a more respectful level of
Right.
conversation, even if you don't agree with that person.
Right. The film that you talk about mental health, what do you hope the audience will learn from this film? Or what do you hope get the audience aspect from it?
Um, I am working with an amazing crew and cast, and we've talked a lot about that. It is an independent film. We don't have a huge budget. Everything's based off of our Indiegogo campaign that we're pushing to raise funds. Really, several of them have volunteered to be a part of the project, and so we talked a lot about why would you take your time and your talent to participate in this project, even when in some cases that might be preventing you from working on a better paying job or, on a bigger project. And so the response by me and also all of them has just been that we feel like there is people who need to realize that they're not alone and that there is help out there. And that's even today, in this day and age when we hear a lot about mental health, we hear, we have entire months like this month devoted to mental health awareness. It's still extremely difficult to
Hmm. Hmm.
admit when you're having those issues, or even harder to try to find help for those.
Right.
And so, even people who aren't maybe dealing with a mental health issue, they don't like to talk about it either, right? So it's just a hard conversation that most people don't want to have. And so, to answer your question in a long way, sorry, but is that the goal then would be for someone who watches this to either recognize the person around them who needs help, or if it's them who needs help, that they would realize there's hope out there and that there is options, and they're not alone. They don't have to be embarrassed for trying to seek therapy or seek a friend or try to help with whatever issue they may have going on.
Wow, powerful. And it's true, and excuse me, we have to talk about mental health. We really do. It's a very important topic. For any age, mental health is real, and people have their stories. We don't know anybody's stories, but it's important to talk about it.
Yes,
And I'm glad you and your cast are making a film about mental health. Um, it's important to tell stories, to tell there's hope, there is solutions out there. You're not alone. So, and that is 100% true, Billy. And it's amazing that you guys are making it. Because I'm a mental health advocate. I am I'm hardcore about what mental health is about,
well,
you
thank you
know.
for that.
Yeah, and it's important to discuss topics like this. We don't know what anybody's going through. We can say that for sure. But we'll make films about it. We make stories about it. And your film, it will impact people out there. I know it will because
Yeah,
it's reality. It's the reality. It's a reality film. It's a truth film. All right. It's a film that people can watch, but also learn from it. Meaning that when they watch the film, hopefully they will convince the person who's watching it to open up to their friends, to their loved ones, and say, this is what I'm going through. This
absolutely.
is what I'm going through. You know, I
And a major theme in this is suicide awareness as well. And this character's to that point. So it's um it's critical because people will hold it in sometimes to the point where they've made the ultimate decision, which is an
hmm
awful decision to have made. And so I feel like almost everyone, as an audience member for the film, either knows someone or they themselves have gone through, whether, for us, I think our main topic's PTSD, suicide awareness, and self-harm. And so people can definitely connect with that and relate to that. It's not a money-making venture, so this film we don't expect is going to be a money-making
this
project.
film's about helping people, save people's lives. I'm sorry, Billy, but
Exactly.
that's what the
Yeah.
film's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%. And um, the reason I wanted to go dig deep into this when I asked you this very beginning, this film I heard about it. It's amazing. It really is, Billy. It really is. It's powerful, and that's you made a point to change people's lives, to help people, to let people you're not alone. It doesn't matter where you live in, all right? And I think it'll help parents out there as well to help. You're a father to help kids to say, hey, it's okay to speak up. It's okay to tell your friends. It's okay to tell your loved ones. You are not alone. And I know I've talked about this before, but we are not making enough TV shows or films about mental health. And
Right.
we need to. We need to. From A-list actors, from B-list or C-list or independent films, we all need to come together and make films about entertainment, about not entertainment, about mental health,
Right.
about this stuff. And yes, I know it's a tough topic, but it needs to be addressed. People out in the world, they need to hear this. When they watch this stuff, they're like, "Wow, this is it. This is, this is my story."
Right. And
That,
it ties into so many other issues that we deal with as a nation. So if we want to tackle drug abuse or alcoholism, then we probably should go to mental health first, So, I mean, that's one of the main reasons I think, that people turn to those addictions and those other issues that we try to address without tackling the mental health issue, like what caused someone to really become an alcoholic? What's going on that led you to think, all right, the only way
hmm
I'm going to sleep tonight is if I get drunk, or the only way I'm going to, get through the day is if I get high. So I think that the mental health aspect of it can really help us as a society resolve a lot of those other problems.
Yes, truly, it's the truth. It will help people, and I think, now I think it's going to help people. It's a and it's mental health is something that eh, we should not be ashamed. I know I
No,
keep saying this, but in the entertainment industry or not, we should not be ashamed to talk about it.
no,
Athletes,
not at all.
news anchors, so on. And nobody should be ashamed to talk about mental health, and suicide prevention and all this stuff. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about it because it's very important. You don't know what anybody's going through. I think it's also a good point to say it's always good to pick up a phone or text somebody, say how you're really doing, or hey, I'm on break, or it's a Saturday afternoon, or it's a weekday, and say, hey, you want to have coffee or dinner a little bit, 30 minutes,
Yeah,
because that can change someone's life, right? Because you're thinking about them,
right.
and they're like, wow, and they could be bawling in front of you, and they're like, wow, this is what I really needed, and I think that's right there is another. It's not. I think it's another way to do it, another way, and that's what
Yeah,
the problem we're having with the society now these days. That we're not we're too glued in our moment,
right.
right? And we it's okay to be glued in our moment, but how about reaching out to friends and loved ones, right? It's like,
Yeah,
you know, it's okay if you get married and, but I always tell people, you're married, have your wife contact her female friends. You contact your friends, that's where it can come from too. It's like, hey, I'm here. I didn't forget about you. And it's very important to do that. So the film is, I can't wait to see it. And it's really going to impact people. I know it's going to impact me because I'm a mental health advocate. I have been and I always have been, and I've lost friends to suicide. So
yeah,
I I totally, I shouldn't say I totally understand, but I do understand what mental health is. I know it's real.
right.
And I totally understand everybody takes it differently, but what we can do as a human being, as ourselves and friends and so on, is be there for the person. Be there. Because you really don't know what's going on inside of them. They may be shown outside, but you don't know what's going on inside.
No, not at all. And I keep mentioning this crew that's working on this project, and they're just so amazing. And I had one reach out to me yesterday. I have such a busy schedule right now, and producing that film itself is quite a lot. And so, and he said I just got off work and I have a few minutes, so I just wanted to call you and talk for a minute. And it wasn't anything, other than he just wanted to say hello, and we just talked about what he had for dinner and did he work out today, and that was helpful for me. And he was asking me those same similar questions. And so I think we are so connected these days with electronic devices that we maybe we've missed the fact that we're not really connecting with people. It's
Hmm.
like just because I looked at someone's Instagram page today doesn't mean they realized I was thinking about them. It's like, so um, reaching out more directly is so powerful. And and I think traditionally women have been stronger in their friend groups than men have. And so I think that
Unfortunately, I heard that's the truth.
yeah, I mean, I think that's just, and that's like, I think that it may not be as strong now as in the past, but I think traditionally that's the truth. And so, and that's one reason that, suicide rate among men is so much higher than it is among women, because men deal with loneliness. That's another concept that's dealt with here in this film, is that concept of loneliness. And that itself is a driving force behind a lot of mental health issues too. So I think you're right. Just having that opportunity, or taking the time, really taking the time to check on someone, check on those people who are around you, and let them know that you're thinking about them, and also being observant enough to realize when they're going through something they might need a little more
100%. That's
attention.
true. I totally agree with you. Be there for one another. And you're
Right.
right. You had a friend call you, and it makes my point. It's good to reach out. It's good to make a phone call. And it's very good. And this is just a solution, in my opinion. Again, my opinion.
Right.
That picking up a phone call helps to call someone. And I think it's very good if someone calls you. It's always good to call them back. You just want to see if they're okay, all right? It's
Yeah,
just
I mean, if you can't physically be together, and that's not always possible, right? It's not always possible to physically be with
hmm
the people you want to hang out with. It's great when we have those opportunities, but even a text message is okay, but then to hear someone's voice is like a hug, right? So to me, it's like, so to have the phone call from my friend, even though he probably texts me or sends me memes 42 times a day, but to get the actual phone call and be able to hear his voice was like a hug, and so that hug is very powerful. And so we don't always get to see each other face to face, or or in person, and hang out and have coffee, or just spend time
hmm
together. But that phone call can be so powerful.
Amen. Right there. You said it. You know, Also, I mean, if you have iPhone, I think Android has a similar thing too, but so you can FaceTime them. It's always
Oh
good to
yes, that's
FaceTime.
powerful as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
totally.
it's very important to do that, to FaceTime, to call. It's like a hug, to hang out with them, go to Starbucks. Every state has Starbucks. I'm just saying, if you guys don't have, I don't know what's going on. Anyways, sorry.
Every corner has Starbucks.
Right? Um, but in reality, you can go to any coffee place. That's how the solution is. And I think for me, I big shout out to any coffee places. So is that it's quiet and you have the moment with the person. You can
Yes.
talk to them and say, "This is what's going on. I need to be,
Right.
have that conversation with them." So and that's one thing. So I'm gonna give a big shout out to you guys. You guys, I'm glad you're making this film. I really am,
Thank you.
and it's very important to me, that you're making this film because you're going to impact a lot of people out there with a lot of ages. High school kids, middle school kids, college students, adult lives. You're going to impact a lot of people, and it's very important that this film reaches a lot of people. Um, you know, um, don't quote. I'm going to quote myself, and this is my opinion, but your cast members are going to save people.
Right.
From you to the rest of your cast, it's going to save people. Meaning is that your film is going to impact someone out there. It's going to impact someone, an individual or a family. That right there for me will give me chills and down my spine because I just want you guys to know, as myself, who is a big mental health advocate, myself, that I believe that. I believe your film is going to do that. And that's me. That's me, right? And that's what I believe, 100%, that your film is going to impact somebody. It's going to impact people out there. So you guys are not alone at all. You're not alone. And I want you guys to know you may think you guys are alone making this film, but you're not. You have my support. You have my support because it's important, Billy. I'm serious, Billy. This is important because as a person who's for myself, who also suffers mental health, I suffer mental health deeply. And I suffer from depression. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not. But I will tell you this from my personal opinion, from my feeling, is I'm happier doing it. I really am because you're going to impact people's lives.
Well,
That's how I'm going to leave it. Your cast members and everybody is going to be impacted individually, people in theater and people in real life. So, Billy, um, I really wanted to talk more about this film. I know you have more other films that you want to talk about, and I would
sure.
love to have you back again in the future, but this is the film I really wanted to get out. This is the film I really wanted to talk about.
Well,
This
it
is
helps a lot.
I wanted to talk about because I'm a big mental health advocate, Billy, and your cast members, I want to let them know you guys are doing great. And I'm gonna say it again, you guys may not feel like what you're doing is doing great. You know, you may feel like that you're not impacting people, but you are, Billy. This film is going to impact people. They may not see it right away, but they're going to hear about it. They're going to realize it. And you're going to save people's lives out there. That's what this film's about, to spread awareness, Billy. Spread awareness, Billy.
It
So your
absolutely
cast
is.
members,
That's the
thank
point.
you.
Well, thank you for that. Of course, I can tear up. So, but yeah, so it's a passion project for me as well for very personal reasons, and so thank you for that. Thank you for just helping us get the word out about it. It's Embrace the Film on Instagram and on Facebook, and people can go there. There's a teaser already out. We've already filmed a teaser that's already out, even though we're just now in principal photography. We filmed a teaser a couple months ago, so that teaser's already there, and our Indiegogo campaign is up and running. We actually just got a challenge issued to us on Sunday. If we can raise $750, then we have a donor who will give us another $750. So anything you can do to help us put the word out on that, $10, $20, whatever people are willing to donate to the project. We also have a very detailed breakdown on the Indiegogo of where those funds would go, so people have that transparency to realize how that's working. Um, None of our cast are taking payment. Several of our crew members are also volunteering. But then we have the expenses of feeding them and paying for the locations and sometimes we all renting lenses and all the equipment that we have to get to shoot the film. So there are expenses even when it's a volunteer project, and so any contributions people give are going toward that part of the production and also distribution. So if we can get it into film festivals, there are a lot of film festivals that are focused on that have mental health focused themes. There are options for us for distribution where it can get on some streaming services, and that all of those things cost a little bit of money, up front to be able to do that. So part of those funds from the fundraiser also help with that distribution effort.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you again, Billy. And I I'm going to support you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I'm gonna give a big shout out to your cast. I would love to interview one of your cast members
Oh, please
on my
do.
show.
They
Please send them my
they are
way.
so amazing. They're so much
And
better on camera than I
I could
am.
have you and your other cast member on my show. I want to talk more about this film. I really do.
Okay.
Um, this film is going to impact a lot of people. So
Let's definitely line that up. I could probably even maybe get you. We could talk about this after you wrap this interview, but I could get you definitely into conversations with some amazing crew members.
yes, please do, please do.
They're much better in an interview. process than I am. I'm just giving you the
No, no,
script.
you're great. You're great. Don't, no.
Right.
No, you're great. But Billy, we're gonna stay in touch. I would love to have you back again soon, but definitely, I'm proud of you guys. I'm
Thank
serious.
you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
again,
so much
Billy.
for all that you do.
You're very welcome. We'll stay in touch.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great.
Bye bye.
Bye.